like to begin with a word of prayer, and then if you would remain standing and join us in the pledge to the flag. I call on the sheriff to open the meeting with prayer, please.
Let's bow our head. Our Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to come here today and to do your work. God, please bless these men and women as they make decisions for this county and give them the wisdom and the fortitude to do the right thing. I ask that you be with each and every one of us, dear Lord, and help us to set an example for you, God. And I pray that if someone here does not know you, that they not rest until they do. God, I ask that you bless Covington County, and I ask that you bless the state of Alabama, God. And please help our country through this time of peril. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Join us in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do appreciate your attendance today, and want to get right into the agenda. There are no scheduled public hearings and no scheduled comment from citizens. And I don't believe we have any awards this time. We made up for that at the last meeting. That was nice and very appropriate. Appreciate the opportunities that we have to recognize others for their contribution from time to time. Public comment from elected or appointed officials. So we'll go to Judge Brooks. What do you have, ma'am?
I do.
Good.
We have implemented in the recording department in my office the REACT tool. And what that is a real estate activity alert and contact tool. It's a free program for the public where they can go to my website and sign up. And then if somebody comes in and records a document and their name is on it, they will be notified within 24 hours and receive a copy of the document. So if somebody comes in with a deed that they forged in your name and they record it and you signed up for this program, you would get a copy of that deed and you would be alerted, and then you can contact sheriff and take the appropriate steps. So it is to help prevent fraud. It's free to the public. Just visit my website and there's a link there. It says REACT tool and you sign up.
Is that a common problem?
I have not noticed it a lot, but this was just a new program that was available through a vendor. It was no charge, and so I felt like it was a smart thing to do to provide that to the citizens to kind of prevent any problems in the future.
Do you mind touching on the new mapping and how that's affecting
Not at all.
precinct line? Do you want to come to the podium so that the folks that might watch my video will see it? Hope I didn't put you on the spot.
No, not at all. Y'all remember a couple of months ago, y'all approved a new GIS program that we could use with the Board of Registrar's office to make the mapping of voters to make sure that they were mapped in the correct precinct. Because Alabama law is you vote in the precinct that you live in. They've implemented that program, and then this past weekend, we ran a list of the voters in the newspaper, as we're required to do by law before an election. Several voters, their precincts have changed because of the new mapping program. And what it is, it's just correcting human error from years of where we've had paper maps where you go in and you look at it and you say, okay, it's this precinct, and they were placed in that precinct. The Board of Registrar's office is sending out cards to notify these individuals that their precincts have changed, but we've noticed that there's some individuals who have voted, the precinct that they voted at is 1.5 miles down the road, and now they're being moved from that precinct to another precinct, but it just depends on where the lines fall.
I got a question on that because I'm glad
Yes.
you brought that up there, because
Yes.
I've been contacted, I think Miss Lynn's been contacted about it. I was, like I said, contacted by one where they live, just say Sanford. And their son's driveway is literally.
I spoke with him yesterday, and
Okay.
that was a computer error.
So how are we gonna get this all corrected before? Because some people may not even notice that in the paper or whatever, but then all of a sudden when it gets election day, they
Yeah.
pull up at the poll and say, well, you're not registered to vote
They're
in
going
this
to,
precinct.
they'll get these cards. If they have any concerns, they need to contact the Board of Registrar's office, or they need to contact my office. We can pull it up and make sure that it's correct in the system. But there are some people that are going to be changed because of where the precinct lines are.
So you think the error was they were voting at the wrong place by the rule
Yes,
previously?
Yes.
For it could have been for 10 or 20 years.
it could have been for longer. It's just the way it was mapped The new GIS data is more accurate. Before, we just had paper maps, and they would have to look at the paper map, and they would say, okay, well, you're on this side of the line, and that's the precinct they would put them in. But then when it comes down to the actual mapping with satellite images and with the computer data, they're actually on the other side of the road, which moves them to a different precinct. And there are some situations where you have the precinct lines, the voting place that they vote in is right there on the precinct line, but the other person lives on the other side of the line, so they're in a different precinct. It's just something we have to work through. But if any of y'all receive any questions, tell them to contact me, tell them to contact the Board of Registrar's office. The gentleman in Sanford, when he called me and I knew where he lived, I knew where his son lived, and when I looked at that, I'm like, that's not correct. So I contacted the Board of Registrar's office, and they contacted the mapping, and it was just a computer issue.
So I've heard of a couple of folks that have typically voted in a rural box that now will vote in Andalusia. Is the Andalusia precinct bound by the city limits? Or
It is not. It is not.
So on the school board race that's out, if you live inside of Andalusia, you will not get to vote on the county school board by law.
That is
That's
correct.
a recent change.
We will have two ballot styles at the Andalusia precinct and the Opp precinct, because there are individuals who live in the county that vote in the Opp voting place, and there are Andalusians that live in the county that vote in the Andalusia voting place.
So when they come in to the voting precinct, how do they identify is
It's
it
by
noted
address.
on their registration, or is it they do it by?
We have the
address?
polling pads.
Yeah,
They scan their ID or is keyed in, and it comes up and tells them which ballot style they received.
okay.
I actually tested all of that last week, looked at
What,
the poll pads and the addresses, and to make sure that they're getting the correct ballot
I
style.
know people don't like changes on voting precinct. They voted there,
I
and the
understand.
mom and dad voted
Yeah.
there, and it creates a lot of confusion, but
And I don't want a situation where voters go into the precinct and then they're angry with the poll workers because, they're telling them, no, you can't vote here, you have to vote in this precinct because that's where you live, and they're like, no, I voted here for years.
And that's my concern.
Yes.
With any election that's coming up, is these people who's been in the same place, where they gonna walk up there and say, well, you're not registered in this precinct anymore, you gotta go here. How many
Right.
people are gonna walk out and say, well, I'm just not voting now?
Well, and that's the purpose of the cards, so that they are notified ahead of time, and then if they have questions, they can contact
so
us.
anyone that was changed from
Will
where
be
they were to
notified.
the new,
Will be notified.
will
Do you
receive
know
written
approximately how many
notification.
that was?
I don't have a number, no. Board of Registrars could probably tell us.
Any other questions? Valid concern, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Because I'm, like you said, there's some people be upset at your
understand.
poll workers before.
Well,
this
and I
is over
don't,
with.
we're very blessed with our poll workers. It's a long, hard day, and I don't want them to have to deal with any more than they have to. So,
All
okay.
right. Thank you, Jay.
Thank y'all.
Well,
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So some of these may go into provisional votes if we can't, if it's not
If
straightened
they're
out.
there and they don't want to go to the precinct where they live, then yes, they can cast a provisional ballot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that can prolong the whole situation.
It's provisional ballots, it takes longer, it's more work for the Board of Registrars, it's more work for the poll workers, so we try to avoid those, but nobody will ever be denied the right to vote.
Well, on a provisional ballot, let's say that I think I vote in Heath, but I should be in Andalusia. I go to Heath and I cast my ballot anyway. It's provisional, and you check and see that nope, I was an Andalusia voter. Does that mean that ballot doesn't count? If it's provisional?
You are supposed to vote in the precinct where you live.
I get that. So
So
what's
if
the
you
result?
vote in the wrong precinct, then it does not count.
Okay.
How is the voters list cleaned up? How is it decided dead people? How do they come off?
That is a question for the Board of Registrar's office. They
They work
control
that.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, they
But
work
I
that all the
believe,
time.
they are notified, is it weekly?
state.
They get a report from the state about people who've passed away.
Okay.
They handle that
No,
part
I
of it.
just knew someone said there were some in the list.
Yeah, there was,
Yeah.
They're
Well,
they're
this has been
supposed to be
passed for-
notified by the state, and then
So,
they
2
clean
years.
that up.
The poll workers also have a piece of paper if someone comes in and they know that their parent or spouse or family member passed away and they mention it, poll worker has a paperwork, you can hand them and ask them to fill it out. And it's just tell them all the information they can about the person that is supposedly deceased or reported deceased. And that goes to the Board of Registrars, and the Board of Registrars can then investigate it through the state and their website. And if it is true, then they update the record. That's another aspect they have, if needed.
Anything else?
Anybody else have a
And they
question?
could come in the
for us?
office and report it as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Chuck, question from the probate judge. This ought to be good.
Back to the REACT,
Yes.
this is very important. If that deed's recorded, and you said we're gonna contact the sheriff, what's the sheriff gonna do?
Then we'll look into it as far as the investigation and find out what took place, if there's some type of fraud being done, we'll act on that through prosecution.
And then how will that deed get changed back if you say it's fraud?
Once it goes through the court process and everything, the deed should be changed back.
You would have a court order, once it goes through the process, if there's a criminal case and all of that's handled, I would believe you'd be able to get an order from the circuit judge to fix it in your office.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all.
Chuck, do you have anything you want to bring to us?
I probably need to tell y'all that we're down to $700,000 on real property. And we're working every day to call and try to get in contact with everyone that has not paid. Some of them just like to wait, so we kind of know who those are, and we don't really call them as much.
Can you repeat that figure?
Around $700,000. If you'll
What-
call me, I'll
what did
give
we
you the
start
exact
at?
amount, but
Just for the recording.
yeah, $700,000. And The beginning number was how much? The total? you
16 million.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're way down, but anyway, we're working through that and trying to get that down. And we'll have a new tax sale. I'll discuss that further as we get into it, but there's a company called Gov-E. We're not going to do the traditional tax sale where I go out on the courthouse steps and sell their property. It'll be online, and I'll start getting that information out probably within the next couple of weeks on how that's going to work. Okay. Yes. Anybody have questions for Chuck? Okay, thank you, Chuck. Sheriff, do you have anything?
Yes, actually. We recently just completed, we've got the contract in place for our new records management system. We expect it to be up and running within the next 120 days. This is going to provide the sheriff's office with quicker reaction times, a lot more information at their fingertips, and just to give you guys a heads up that it's in the works right now, and we're looking forward to it to get the ball's rolling. We're just waiting for it to stop. So.
All right. Anybody have a question for him? All right, thanks, Sheriff. Move on to the consent agenda that you received by email, the minutes from the January 23rd meeting, and you also have seen the accounts payable and payroll for the month of January. We would entertain a motion to approve those items or make corrections if you know of any. Anybody have corrections you know that you want to make?
We can make a motion.
Motion to approve, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Anybody else have corrections to bring up? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, that's approved. We had nothing carried forward under old business for this meeting, so we'll move on to new business. Consider approval of a resolution or debate a resolution in support of Amendment 1. Page 38 in your packet has the information on that. There's only one constitutional amendment on the ballot this upcoming election, 3 weeks from today. And here is the wording of that. If y'all don't mind, I'll just read it so that you guys will hear, and then we'll try to explain a little bit about that and its impact and see what the commission's wishes are. Whereas voters will soon consider Amendment 1, which will be on the ballot during the 2024 primary election held on March 5th, and whereas the legislature regularly passes local laws and local constitutional amendments that impact the services provided to the county's residents, as well as the mechanisms for funding those services, and whereas some of these taxpayer-funded services include law enforcement, education, fire protection, ambulance services, the regulation of alcoholic beverages, and economic development. And whereas since 1984, the Alabama Constitution has required that no legislation be considered by the legislature until both of the state's annual budgets are passed and delivered to the governor. And whereas there is an exception that allows the legislature to consider other matters ahead of the budgets by adopting a budget isolation resolution, BIR, by a vote of not less than 3/5 of a quorum present. And that's in quotes, of not less than 3/5 of a quorum present, end quote. And whereas the language of this exception has been interpreted various ways since 1984 and has generated lawsuits in recent years over how many votes are needed to adopt a BIR, and whereas if the court finds that a local law's BIR was adopted improperly, it could result in that local law being challenged on procedural grounds, even if the local law otherwise passed both chambers and became law. And whereas Amendment 1 would allow local bills and local constitutional amendments to be considered by the legislature without adopting the BIR, removing a procedural step from the legislative process. And whereas the Association of County Commissions of Alabama has adopted a resolution encouraging Alabamians to vote yes to Amendment 1 on March 5th, now therefore be it resolved by the Covington County Commission that it encourages citizens of this county to go to the polls on March 5 and make their voices heard on Amendment 1 with a yes vote. Commissioners, y'all have heard some of the background on this, and open the floor for discussion or thoughts on this. What's your take on it?
Make a motion.
To adopt the resolution?
Yes, I second that motion. We talked with like Matthew and them was mentioned to us, and I think it's a good thing for the actual county itself, so I second the motion.
All right, motion and second. Any other questions or thoughts or comments on it? So from our perspective, adoption of this is just a support of that amendment and a way to communicate to the public the intent and the interest in it. So hearing nothing else, we'll vote. All in favor of the resolution as read, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that resolution is adopted. Thank you. Consider retroactive approval for out-of-state travel for the Sheriff's Department. Page 39 has details on that. I spoke with the sheriff earlier this morning, and Lee said that they had an unexpected invitation to attend, I guess, one investigator?
It's
Yeah,
actually,
Chelsea.
we had an invitation for a free slot at the school. It was at the last minute, so we sent an officer to fill that slot. So the school was free. It's a kind of hard school to get into. It's an interview and interrogation school. So we sent another officer into that slot.
So costs have been incurred. Again, we bring these for approval as much as anything to communicate to the public that
Yes.
travel out of the state. Is there a motion to retroactively approve this travel?
Make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions on it or comments?
And that was Michael Cheshire.
That was Michael
Went
Cheshire.
down to Escambia County, Florida, is that right?
Right, just inside of Florida.
Okay. All right, we have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that carries. Thanks, Sheriff. Next is consider a declaration of surplus items for the Sheriff's Department. Page 40 is the list. This is a 2018 Chevrolet Tahoe, a 2001 Ford F-150. You have the VIN numbers there, and these items will be declared surplus and then disposed of in a way that seems to be expedient. We have kind of a protocol for those depending on values and stuff. I'm assuming these might go on Gov Deals or some other auction site. They have to be disposed of by auction. Is there a motion to declare these items surplus?
I want to ask first, the senior reserves were actually here this morning. I talked with one of the gentlemen here, and I know about a year or so ago, I spoke to Blake, and I think Blake had got him a vehicle, but then he had to take it and move it somewhere else in his department or something because of something happened with his. And they go around and do a lot of check on elderly citizens.
Wellness checks.
checks, they go change the tracking devices on these elderly citizens around the county, and they're in need of a vehicle again. Do you reckon we could use one of these, Sheriff, to get them back on the road where they can get back with their,
Normally, I would say yes, but these vehicles that we have are, we're about to experience significant problems with them. That was one of the reasons why I had them listed as surplus. The cost to fix them would be more than what the vehicle is worth. However, I'm motivated to find them something to drive. We've been using just whatever we have back there that's not being used, but I am motivated to find them something else to drive.
yeah, I would like to see that because,
I've got an idea of one that I already have. It's a little Malibu, but I'll need to find something to replace that Malibu with, and I'll work on that.
yeah, please, if you don't mind, say, because they do a lot of service. They was telling me they got from Florilla to red level to over and off, a bunch of the round and round they have to do to
Right.
check on these, and
We've always provided them something to drive. So, I mean, and we're gonna continue to do that. But I'll get the Malibu worked out, and I'll make something happen.
Did he mention anything about how long they've been without, or do they have something right now?
I've always had them something to
Okay.
drive. I always have. We did have a van for them to drive, a Chevrolet van, and they didn't like driving that. I don't know why they didn't like driving that van, but they didn't, and the van sat out here and was collecting dust, so we use it over at the jail as an auxiliary transport vehicle. But we always have something for them to drive.
because I know he said they've been a lot of time in the last little bit using their own vehicles, and they were,
Well, if they're using their own vehicles, then they're not, they haven't asked to use one. But we
would you
have.
get with them, because they had a meeting this morning and talk with them and see if you can't get them something.
All right, so is there a motion to declare these two items surplus as requested?
Motion to declare surplus.
And sell a good deal.
And sell by auction on gov deals or such other. I mean, we've had a little bit of problem when we were real specific on how to dispose of them in the past. So I was trying to leave that open, but at auction,
Second.
motion and second, questions?
If they're not fixable, get rid of them.
Yeah, and that's what it sounded like.
If they're not fixable, get rid of them.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that's approved. Next is consider approval on petition to close a portion of H.D. Wilson Road. Lynn, I guess that would come under you. Maybe you have details on that you can share with us.
It's a petition that we have, Greg, what we have right now, and I just want to start the formal process, letting you know that we do have a petition to close it, and it's just, I think, 4 landowners that it would affect.
And all of them have petitioned.
They've all
joined in the
petitioned,
petition.
yes. It's a dead-end road. I mean, I don't,
Where's it located?
right behind, it's near the Dollar General there, close to Babby.
It's right on top of the hill.
Yeah,
there.
that little hill, yeah.
Okay,
Yes. It just turns and goes down into the woods there.
okay.
You know the old cane pole place, I guess, it's back in there. So, but it's just on that, just go ahead and start the proceedings,
So
just go ahead and start.
Requesting us
public hearings and
to
give-
give the approval on moving forward
Yeah.
with the process of
And give the
closing,
notifications.
abandoning the road,
That's correct.
vacating the road. All right, is there a motion to move forward with this?
Make a motion.
A second.
Motion and second, questions on? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that's approved. You will get that ball rolling. Next is consider requesting bids for improvements on State Route 55 and 107. Give us a little detail about that.
We paved the main section
Of 107?
on 107, and we still got to do the shoulder work and get everything ready, but I want to go and get permission to go in and advertise the vehicle. We're going to I think I'm going to let a contractor go and connect us to 55, a lot of curb and pipe and a lot of work out there on 55, and I just feel more comfortable letting a contractor do that with traffic control. with
But
speed
you
and
have got
everything.
the main body of that road
Yes,
paved.
yes.
And
And we'll make the connection on the far end ourselves, but I don't really want to do that until we kind of get both going at the same
So you're
time.
ready to release traffic on
And in
that?
conjunction with what they're doing now.
Yes, yes.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
state is.
How long you think that'll be, were they ready to?
I think within a month, I can probably have the bid. I'm hoping within a month I can have it.
How much do you think, what do you estimate the cost of this to be? Of this project?
Let's put it in the bid, it could be a little more expensive. I mean, they've got a little bit of paving right there, it's about 600 foot, 700 foot of paving that'll have to be done. And then just the curb and gutters, not much dirt to move. It's kind of a middle and field, the shoulders are real wide right there, that there's not a whole lot of dirt.
Having to put a turn lane or a merge lane
A turn
on the
lane, we're doing
highway?
a decel lane coming into 107, coming down the hill to turn right into the 107 project, and then we have a left turn starting at the bridge that will turn.
Can AlDOT handle the acceleration and decel lane as part of their resurfacing
No,
project?
that contract had been already in effect for a while, so. But they're gonna be there for like a year. It's a lengthy project. They gotta do a lot of work on that road, so.
So I heard a motion to grant the authority to move forward, and there's a second.
And a third.
I thought we could do it ourselves, but I think I'd just rather just go and let it the contract and just kind of,
I like
because it'd be a while for us to get because we don't have an in-place concrete bid. I have to, a curb bid.
Yeah.
We've done this twice and couldn't get anybody to put a bid in on it.
All right.
So I think we'll just let the whole thing.
So we have a
contract.
motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, move forward with that, that'd be great. We need to request bids for seed and fertilizer.
Yes.
Maybe your next.
It's just our annual bid. I just request we need
Is
to
there a
put those
motion
out to.
to approve requesting bids?
Motion.
Motion. Second by Lynn.
So,
Question by Michael. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that's approved. What other report do you have?
I'm getting the lights ordered for the Horn Hill. I'm gonna hope to have those things ordered this week, so we can go and get those back up there at Horn Hill. We're gonna end up going with pedestal mounted signs. I think we can maintain those a bit easier than what we can with the overhead, and they're just outdated. So I'm getting those ordered probably tomorrow. I'll get those ordered tomorrow.
Okay.
And then,
on Sasser Crossroad.
yes, I'm gonna try to get a bunch of them. And I'm meeting with the school
Strong
board.
School.
Strawn, I've already already talked to the superintendent about it. We're gonna do a cost share on that one, there at the school, so.
but the
But, yeah.
county's paying for the ones at Horn Hill?
Yes, that's correct. That is correct.
Update on Cross Murray.
We got all the deeds for the crossroad, the Miss Cross, and I've got the deed in hand. I'm just waiting on the final plat survey by the surveyor. So as soon as I get it, I'm going to get it to her. But I do have the, Mark has given us the deed, and it is, I've reviewed it and it's correct, so.
Any idea when he will complete the survey?
No, the survey's completed. He's got it, it's just office work. I talked to him yesterday, so I'm hoping he'll have that here today or tomorrow.
And
So
then from there,
we'll go and finish the clearing. We've already, as soon as I got the deed last week, we went and cleared the section at the very end.
Yeah.
Going into the actual subdivision. I got that little spot cleaned up. We're waiting on a part, our excavator sheared a pin. I'm waiting on for it to get completed. But we got a good start on that clearing up there. That was a good little bit on that corner. But when I get it done, then we'll come back and get the big trees. Once I get the deed signed on the Murray Road, basically is where I need all the trees taken down. That's where the largest
if we get
realignment
that
change.
completed this week, we should be able to start.
Well, it's wet. I mean, I can't do
Barring
nothing.
any
It's
weather.
hard to, yes, it's hard to do
Next
something
week,
when
we
it's wet.
could maybe look at getting back up.
Yeah. I can go and get some pipe in. I can get the pipe in on the first section. I can get basically the crossroad built as it is now. I can go and start roughing that section of road in. So, but yeah,
What else do you have?
that's really it right now.
Hang with us just for a minute. Let's, Commissioners, at the last meeting, we approved a resolution, at least a draft, basically a draft of a floodplain management ordinance that had been proposed to us by ADECA. We approved it subject to final review and approval by the engineer and the attorney. And after looking at that closer and both of them having a number of conversations about it, it's forcing us at the local level to do some things that we're not real comfortable with. It's the federal and or state are forcing us to, trying to force us, it appears, to put in a permitting process that we don't have now. It would cause us to have to create a permitting department of some kind. Talking about it, maybe 2 or 3 people, just to implement what they're proposing in that ordinance. I don't think we have a choice but to accept the ordinance but I would propose we accept it under protest. Transmit it with a letter of protest. It's not final, it's still a draft, we're still in a comment stage with ADECA, who is then coordinating with FEMA. If we don't accept it, then we stand to lose our flood insurance coverage in the county, which we don't want for anybody. Just show of hands, how many here have flood insurance? Anybody? So we have at least 2 or 3 that have flood insurance. It's significant. You don't want to lose that. We don't want to cause that to be lost. We don't want to lose our access to FEMA funding for disasters that destroy Covington County's infrastructure. And all of that seems to be a threat. So we may not ultimately have a choice, but we can certainly communicate our dissatisfaction
So
with it.
basically, they got us kind of between a rock and a hard spot.
Well, they're the one writing the check, so we
Yeah.
got to abide by their
We
rules.
are, but we want to voice this concern we have as a rural county that, doesn't have an inspection department or licensing or permitting department. What, is that all fair to say, Lynn? You agree with that? You have additional
No,
stuff you want to add?
That's it. And I'll contact a lot of our fellow county engineers, just adjoining us pretty much, and nobody has we're in the same boat like they are. They don't have a
Or just a
Coffee
bunch of
County, Coffee County,
small counties.
Geneva, Escambia, everybody, there's no
Same
permitting
concern.
process, period. And they're looking at doing, quarterly inventory of new homes being built. And to be able to track this county-wide, we got a huge county. So the only way I can really do any, mainly now, is basically through pipe orders and new addresses. But then again, you got people still building on their property. That could be in a flood zone area. That could be behind a wooded field that we're not even aware of. So it's going to be very hard to do something about. It's just very hard to do something of this magnitude, what they're wanting us to do. So,
Ms. Morgan, do you have any comment on this beyond what we've said?
No, other than I think the letter of protest to demonstrate that there's significant concerns about how this is changing floodplain management in Covington County should be noted. Again, I have little confidence that we'll have the ability to make any changes, but since change is coming, I would like the record to reflect that the concerns are significant for a county this size.
Okay. Our association has battled this and got to a point where they've impacted change as much as they think they can. And so there's not another step to take that we can see really, but we'll submit with the blessings from the previous meeting, we'll submit the draft with some changes that we're proposing and that's with a letter of protest. I think just a consensus that that's acceptable is good.
And there's no financial help from the state because they're forcing this, basically. It's just all the burden on us.
The burden I'm not seeing anything to the contrary. It looks like it's all on the local county and on the local citizens, and that's where the concern comes in. All right, we'll submit that with a letter of protest then. Anything else, Lynn?
that's all I got.
Thank you. Did we need to solicit bids on something else? That was all that you did? Okay. Any staff reports? EMA? Cats?
State has requested that cats be moved to the end of February, beginning of March for the process of finding new homes for current babies and for new order forms for new babies.
Okay. Those are pretty, they look good. Outside the
The
look.
new ones will look the same.
Yeah, okay.
Just be a different outlet.
I tell every time I come in here, that's sure some pretty bands, but
Yeah.
they're just not feasible for what?
Yes. All right.
Next month is our reserve for Covington County,
Okay.
tornado season,
Yeah.
as you say.
Yeah.
March, April, May, so we're doing a push out or weather protection.
I know we've had 2 or 3 warnings or notices come out recently. Is that just kind of random? Is it because we're already into the season a little bit or?
Approaching the season. Our peak time is March, April, and May.
Okay, okay.
So that's when we do our biggest push, but everybody knows that this lived here all their lives. You can have tornadoes any time of the year, or snow, or tornadoes, or
Yeah,
hurricanes, whatever it is.
okay.
And just remember also, just severe weather means, our fellow counties, I talked to our engineers that are east of us, and they got 8 to 10 inches yesterday.
Really?
Dothan had roads cut, paved roads cut in two. It's pretty severe over that way yesterday.
That's a lot of rain.
A lot of rain.
Any other staff reports? Commissioners, y'all have anything? Ms. Morgan, anything else? Karen?
No, thank you.
Hearing nothing else, if there's no opposition, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.